Hello everybody, hope you're doing great. I'm very happy for you guys to join us for this very first series of our video talking about mastering the IP address. And I know that particularly if you are new in IT or in cybersecurity, hearing IP address might be sound so strange to you, and this is okay if you are completely new, because what we are going to learn from today, we will be guiding you from scratch, from completely zeros level up to the level that we want you to understand as a cybersecurity or ethical hacker. And this is okay for us if you're new. And for this, our first video in our series of mastering IP address, we will understand what is IP address and what different type of IP address we want, and we have, and how this will be helpful for a hacker, you understand, in a real life scenario. So I hope that you are a subscriber, you are following the page, and you will share and leave your comment at the end of this session. Let's dive in the topic. Okay, now let's understand something. Let's imagine that you want to send a letter, or maybe you made an order online from Amazon.com. What the supplier from Amazon needs, they need your home address in order for them to send the goods, right? The product that you order. Same thing when you are you want to send a letter, like a normal letter to a friend. What a postal service needs is actually the home address from where to deliver the letter. That home address is like your IP address. That's the same thing when it comes to internet. So any device you have in your home, maybe a phone, right? Maybe your PC, your laptop, your smart TV, each of them has a unique address, what they call internet protocol address, commonly called IP address. When, for example, you take your phone and type the cyber code on YouTube, so YouTube has a request from a particular device, and it can actually identify this particular device from its IP address, which is your phone IP address. And your phone will receive data from a particular IP address also, which is YouTube server IP address. So that this is to guarantee that the data that will be sent won't go to another device, another user. Hope you guys understand. And most commonly, the IP address the most popular now, we have their IPv4. So the IP address version 4, which consists mostly of 4 different numeric letters, 4 numbers, you understand, separated by dots, you understand. Of course, we have also IP address version 6, which actually is more complex to remember. It's used hexadecimal words like letters and numbers together, but most commonly, which is standardized, people are using IP address version 4, right? It's like 192 dots separated by dots. Remember, 192.168.0.1, right? Each of these number is in the range of 0 to 255. Each of these numbers. So an IP address cannot be like, let me say 267. It's not possible, right? Between the range of 0 to 255, each of these numbers. And then I will explain you more about this. Let's go. Another thing which I think is very important to notice is we have like 2 different IP addresses. Like in IP address, we have 2 categories. We have private IP address and public IP address. So what is the difference? Your public IP address is the IP address that Google sees when you go online, right? We'll go to the practical right now. When you go online, this is your IP address. This is the IP address of your whole home address, like a kind of your location where you live. And this is attributed by your internet provider. For example, Camtel, when you're in Cameroon, Etisalat, Orange, or MTN. They are the one distributing IP addresses, for each home. You understand, according to where their tower is installed. You understand. They have tower, a telecommunication tower in every zone. So this is your public address, which Google Internet sees about your whole home address. And we have a private IP address. The private IP address is the address that your router, the router inside your homes gives to your different devices. You understand? This is your private IP address, and it's actually distributed by your router. If you are using Wi-Fi, or maybe you're not using Wi-Fi, you're using your own data. Okay. This is the particular IP address that you are local in your home. You might probably have, let me say, a router, a Wi-Fi router, or anything that is sharing internet in the different devices. So this is your private IP address of the devices inside your home. But when you are exposed to internet, this is your public IP address, and this one is more dangerous. So So we have seen what is IP address. We have seen a public IP address, private IP address, how it's actually is distributed to different devices. So but the point is, why is it important for us as hacker? You understand? And I want you to understand, as a hacker, understanding IP address is the first base, because you cannot find something that you don't know the address. You understand? For any hacker, for each step of vulnerability checking or pen testing of anything hacking, knowing the IP address is the first step, because you cannot scan, for example, which you don't have something that a website or a device that you don't know the IP address. That's very important, guys. You understand? So another thing, if for us, when we get the IP address, when a hacker, ethical hacker, or a cybersecurity expert, analyst, a SOC, whatever, when anything start with the IP address, when you get the IP address, you start checking subdomain name on this IP address. You start doing job works of like reconnaissance, like getting informations around this IP address, public IP address, which is very important. Same thing when you're in a local area networking. If you want to hack or to penetrate or test a computer of a local network, maybe a company or in a like physically, you need to get the IP address of each device, so that it will be easier for you to understand that this one, I'm targeting this particular device. Everything starts with the IP address. When I get the IP address, I start scanning to find different open doors, like open ports. When I get open ports, then I start getting vulnerability and exploiting those vulnerability. So for a hacker point of view, it's very important for you to understand IP addresses and how you understand to exploit them. Get me saying? Thank you, guys. Okay, enough theory. As you know, here in TCC, with TCC, the cyber coach, we are addicted of practice. Let's now go to the practice and see how to discover your IP address or the IP address of any device. And let's go. So the first thing I want you to do is you open the computer and then press the key window on the bar menu. Here, you will see window. You press it on your keyboards and then you type CMD. As you press CMD, you just click like launch as administrator. When you open it, you will see it. Like CMD is a command line. It's just, don't be afraid, okay? You will see through all our courses you will be using CMD, the command line. It's just a type, like a text, is a way to talk with the computer using text command, or let me say is a text-based one. Very easy. Don't be scared on the black screen and the stuff. So when it's open in the computer, what I want you to do, just type ipconfig, right? ipconfig, as you're seeing on my screen. ipconfig, when you type ipconfig, boom. Oof, what you're seeing now, we are seeing we have like where it's written IPv4, like IP address version 4. You will see this is your private IP address. Don't be scared. This private IP address, this is the IP address of the device, of your particular device in your local network, right? Distributed by your router or the closest router in your home. So this one, my own is like, as you can see, 192.168.1.0. Maybe probably your own is like it's finishing by with 2 or with 3 or with 4. So as you might be noticing that private IP address might be almost the same in different areas in the world. I can have the same thing here, and the next quarter in Cameroon or in Dubai has the same thing also. That's your private IP address distributed with by your router, right? This is your public private IP address. Don't forget it. And the second thing, how to find your IP address, your public IP address, which is actually the most important for the hacker. So go to the website online, type what is myIPaddress.com, press, and then boom. What are you going to see? What I see on the screen is actually giving your location and your IP address. In fact, this is your IP address, which interests the hacker the most. That's the most important for the hacker. So anytime you open, for example, if I launch a malicious website as a hacker, for example, and I launch it and you visit it, what I will see is your public IP address. And then, when a hacker has your IP address, it's almost game over, because I can search you, I can find you, I can do a lot of dirty things. So we are actually working here as ethical hacker. So that's your public IP address, okay? Don't forget it, there's a process. And the public IP address, please make sure you hide it from the internet. You hide it from any person, from people, from IT people. So from hacker also. Let's go. Now, let me give you another bonus how to check if a device, because if I have your IP address, I want to check if you're online. I want to check if you are working, if the device is online or is off or has any firewall who's blocking me. So what most of hackers are using, let me introduce you a very simple tool. I have the presupposition that you are working on a window, right? And when you open, we are going back to the command line, the CMD. When you go to the CMD, the next thing you type, let me introduce you a ping. Let's test, for example, google.com. You have authorization, of course, because it's not possible to scan somebody that way without their agreement, right? But this is a very innocent, no dangerous scan, right? That's normal stuff. So most of network administrator and hacker, they are using this. The sample dose is ping, like ping, ping, and then you put the IP address, the public IP address, of course, not the private, because private is useless. Let me say useless for any attack, right? So you put it. When you put, boom, what are you seeing? This, we are putting IP ping 8.8.8.8. This is the Google IP address. When we launch it, you will see the response. This response shows that our target is online. You can see the latency, you can see the time it takes, and etc. Right? So, thank you guys. I hope that now you're in the end of this first video. The main point of this video was to help you understand what is IP address and the different IP address we have. Private IP address and public IP address. You learn that IP address is just like a home address, a particular home address for each home that we have in the physical world. That's the same thing with devices. That's what we learn. And we learn also as a hacker, this is very important. That's the key information that we need to have before launching any pen testing job. Okay. So, and we learn how to check IP address, how to check private IP address, how to check public IP address, how to check if a particular device is active, is online. So let me give you this homework. First thing, as we learned already, I want you to check your IP address version for your private IP address. And then after, go to the website, whatismyipaddress.com, and check your public IP address. Okay. The third thing that I want you to do, check when checking your IP address, the private IP address, for example, 192.168.1.maybe25. Now, when you check your IP address from the command line CMD, your private IP address, then check also for your router. What is your router IP address? Probably it might be finishing with 0 or with 1. Just check it. When you check it, then check your router if your router is online using the private IP address that you have gotten. So hopefully we will go in the next series. In the next video, we will learn more about IP address. And if you're struggling about doing this exercise, let me a comment in the comment section. Comment and tell me more about it. The challenge is struggling. If you're struggling, any challenge you couldn't follow the exercise, let me know also. Hope this video actually helped you and you learned something from the video. If yes, please hit a like, share, and leave me a comment. Right? Love you. This is your guy, TCC, the Cyber Coach.